Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the NBA Front Office Show. It's Friday, and you know what that means.
Front Office Friday! It's cold edition.
It's cold. Maybe not everywhere, but yes, it is getting colder where you're at. Absolutely. Guys, we are live here breaking down all things NBA. We'll take your questions, your comments, all of that. Talk about some of the latest news around the league. But again, as we talked about on yesterday's show, we're going to start things off. The fires going on in California, obviously terrible, and a lot of people going through some really, really tough times. If you're among them, obviously thoughts and prayers certainly with you. I know we do get a lot of people coming in from Southern California, from LA, that watch the show. So we're with you, and I hope that we can get through this thing as quick as we can here.
Yeah, 100%. I don't really have a lot to add other than if you're able to watch, we're thankful you're safe and you're watching. That means, everything to us, as we said yesterday. And they say all the time, things can be replaced. People can't. That doesn't necessarily make it any easier for anybody else. But if you are safe and watching, we're so thankful for that. I just put up the banner if you're able and so moved, Red Cross to 90999 to give a $10 donation. You can also just Google very easily to see a lot of different places that are helping individuals in Southern California and the LA area. The LA Food Bank is one I know that is in desperate need of donations, both money and food wise, but there's a lot of places, a lot of animal shelters. I had a couple people email me yesterday that they are doing what they can to help out with animals, because that often goes a little overlooked at these times. So all the best to everybody. Hang in there. We know you'll rebuild. That's a little solace in the moment, but we are thinking of you, and we're all here with you.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. We will get into NBA stuff here. Just to, I don't want to say lighten the mood, but at least provide a little bit of a distraction from everything that's going on. I'll go here with Ollie. Said Rui, Gabe, 2 first-round picks. Obviously, it's a Lakers question here. 2 first-round picks for RJ, JHS.
I think there's supposed to be a period there after RJ. I think he's doing 2 different trades.
Okay. So Rui, Gabe, 2 first-round picks for RJ, JHS, and Hayes, 2 second-round picks for Nick Richards, Sign Fultz, Dalton Connect picks for Kess. I mean, I think there's just so much going on here that's what's going to make it tough. Like that's a lot of different things happening all once. If I'm not just the Lakers, any team, and you've got like 4 or 5 players going out in a big deal, that's pretty tough to pull off, especially under the constraints of the new CBA.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where RJ necessarily fits with this Lakers team. Like, that feels like it'd be a little bit of an odd fit.
And why, are the Raptors even moving him?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think if they could get 2 first-round picks, they might consider it at that point. Then that might change their mind a little bit there. We're reading it wrong, he says. So maybe we're looking at something different. Oh, the DK for Kessler is a completely different offer. Got it. Yeah, I mean, the JHS and Hayes, 2 second-round picks for Nick Richards. I think the Hornets will just keep Nick Richards on a really nice contract as opposed to that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's there. The Fultz thing, we've addressed this before. We'll address it again. He's not ready to play. That's why he isn't signed with anybody. Not to say he won't be ready all season. Maybe he will be back at some point. But as it stands right now, we're going to see. And you're not going to get Cam Thomas cheap off the Nets either. Or Walker Kessler, for that matter. You'd probably have to give up Dalton Connect in at least one of the first, if not both, because those teams have no reason to move those guys. They're, again, on good contracts. They fit with what they're trying to do. So there's no reason to move, unlike other veteran guys that we see on the market right now.
Right. Yeah, you've got more motivated sellers when it comes to a lot like Dorian Finney-Smith, even Cam Johnson, perhaps just because he's 28 years old. But the guys who are younger, 23-year-old Walker Kessler, I believe Cam Thomas is the same, 23, 24. Those are guys where their incumbent teams can say, well, this guy's young enough to where when we eventually get better, this guy can still be part of our team, can be part of our future. Where it's like a Dorian Finney-Smith at 31, Dennis Schroeder at 31 with the Nets specifically. Those are players that by the time they're ready to win, those guys are past their prime or they're not there anymore. They've left. So that you have a bit more of a motivation on the seller's side with guys like that because they know they need to get a return for them right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the challenge with like both Walker Kessler and Cam Thomas is everything you laid out. Also with Walker Kessler, he's got another year under contract for less than $5 million. Mm-hmm. So if I'm the Jazz, I'm like, why would I move this guy? Like he fits everything we're trying to do, and we get one more year. Thomas slightly different, right? Because he has a he's a restricted free agent this summer, so he needs a new contract, and he's going to get paid fairly decently with that. So that starts to become, a little bit more, all right, maybe the Nets would move him in the right kind of deal. But I think, trying to get that we have, let's go to this one because we have a Jazz question here from Brandon Butler. Says, what are the Jazz going to do? Does Danny actually pull the trigger on any deals, or does he overvalue his players? I mean, he's made a lot of deals in his tenure, both with the Celtics and with the Jazz. But yeah, he does overvalue his guys a little bit. I don't think he's overvaluing Walker Kessler in this case, though. Again, really young guy, still on his rookie scale deal. No reason to give him up. If you start hearing things like, well, they could have traded John Collins, but they wanted, 2 first-round picks. Well, that's a severe overvaluation of John Collins. As much as we like John Collins here on the Front Office Show, that's a little ridiculous. If you started hearing similar, like for Jordan Clarkson or Colin Sexton, that would be overvaluations for those guys. So I think you're in a spot where Jazz are going to do stuff. They're going to be active. I kind of don't think all 3 of Collins, Sexton, and Clarkson will be on the team after the trade deadline, but we'll see. I mean, I think just about anybody else, Markkanen can't be traded. He's got a restriction, and then everybody else is on a rookie deal, or a very minor small deal. So there's no real reason to move any of those guys.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's going to be opportunities for Utah, but here's the thing, right? Like if you are Danny Ainge, it's much easier to set a high asking price now and then come off of that, say a week before the deadline, than it is to set a reasonable asking price right now and then try to really grind out the right kind of a deal around that currently. So it's not a surprise to me if the asking prices are high for the Jazz. I think they're going to be high for a lot of teams currently, but as we get closer to the deadline, I think those prices will soften, and just as offers will come up to, and we'll see deals get done. Right now it is the season for posturing on both sides. Both sides, you're hearing a lot of stuff that is, we wouldn't give that up, or the asking price is too high. You're also hearing on the other side, the offers just weren't reasonable and things of that nature. They've got a little bit of time, 4 weeks here to do some work and move closer to the middle.
Yeah, that's it. Everybody starts out asking up here with offers down here. Then we get to here as we get closer to the deadline. That's just how it goes. Yep. So yeah, I mean, that's, again, we are roughly a month still out from the trade deadline. So we're not going to see major moves get made here probably for at least another couple weeks, minus maybe something with Jimmy Butler, because that's been like an ongoing thing here for a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, especially with God, why is Jimmy telling teams that doesn't want to play for them? I don't know. That hurts the whole situation.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. There was a question that somebody had about that related, and it's I mean, that's kind of the thing is right now he's very much trying to get himself to Phoenix, right? Like that's anybody who pays attention can see that, and I think it's a staring contest, and unfortunately for Jimmy Butler, doesn't have a lot to do with him, the Heat, or the Suns. Really, it's mostly to do with Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal doesn't want to go somewhere. Bradley Beal's going to invoke his no trade and say, nah, I'm good. I'll stay right here. So there's only so much you can do around that to try to get that figured out.
And there's a story going around about how like Bradley Beal would have much more trade value if he didn't have a no trade clause. He's 100%. Not going to just give that up. I mean, that's one of the benefits of his contract that he signed. I don't know. I know, yes, it would make him more trade. I still don't think there'd be a lot of teams that want to pay him $50 million, but Does he become more tradable without the no trade clause? Yes, because you don't have that hurdle to overcome if you are a team receiving him, where you have to worry about, okay, if this doesn't work a year from now, I'm dealing with the no trade clause. But Bradley Beal's not going to just say, "Oh no, cool, we're good. I'll just get rid of that
Yeah.
no trade clause." They might try to turn up the heat, pun intended, in Phoenix, and continue to bring him off the bench and maybe make him feel like maybe he should go somewhere else. That doesn't mean he's going to bend and give up the no trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, Dennis M says here, Altadena and Pasadena love. Just, again, we opened the show with it, but if you were a couple minutes late, all the love in the world to the Southern California, Los Angeles area with everything going on with the fires. And again, if you're joining us, thankfully you're safe and you're able to hang out with us here for a little while here on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's go here. What are some smaller realistic trades you guys see happening by the trade deadline? I think that for that, you kind of look at who are the most likely players to move. Like, I think we've been under the assumption that when push comes to shove, by the time the buzzer sounds on February 6th, Brandon Ingram will not be a New Orleans Pelican. Now, I don't know if that is necessarily a smaller deal,
sure,
but like, I think that's one of the obvious ones that's out there.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance we see Bruce Brown's not going to be a small deal because he makes so much money, but I think he probably gets moved or the Raptors try to move him. There's a couple things that are out there with a couple of these guys on expirings, though, where teams, and I talked to 2 teams this week that were like, that's the exact spot we're in, is not in a rush to move a guy when they may want to use that player in a sign and trade this summer. If they can to make that work. So you might see a couple guys we thought like, why would they keep him? Expiring deal. He's not really part of things. They're not going forward with him. They're not re-signing him. Well, they may hang on to that player to use that player, in a deal for as a sign and trade rather over the summertime. With the Bulls though, I think we could see maybe Kobe White get moved, maybe Ayo Dosunmu. Depending on where they go, they're still very guard heavy there in Chicago. I think Javon Carter can be had if a team wanted to. That'd be like the exact example of a smaller deal that could happen. It's not. These are not really super small deals, but like the Kings have Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles that they're very much shopping to see what they could get with those guys on their contracts, as well as a handful of other guys. So those are the kind of things. Nick Richards, I think, would be a smaller deal there. Washington threw Rashawn Holmes some minutes the other night, and he actually played well. He defended well and rebounded well. So we'll see. But yeah, those are just kind of some of the ideas that are out there. And then really small things like Boston, I am fairly certain, is going to move Jaden Springer in a deal where they can kind of kick the can down the line with another guy, like similar type deal that Springer was on, if not just, hey, let's lower our tax bill with this. But those are the kind of very minor type things. Like the Pelicans are going to get out of the tax one way or another. They'll make sure they clear enough room to convert or sign Brandon Boston Jr. So those are the like very small minor deals that we'll definitely see.
Jazz asks, will we ever see a Celtics Lakers trade? We did back in 2004, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say there's been a bit.
It's been a little while, but
Gary Payton
there was Gary Payton and I think Rick Fox was in the trade.
Rick Fox was in there, yeah.
And it was I remember it was supposed to be, was it Marcus Banks?
Maybe.
That was supposed to come back, and then something happened with his physical. It wound up being Jermaine Jones, as I recall, instead. And that was, who else was in that deal? It was I thought there was a big coming back too.
Yeah, I'm looking. Basketball Reference actually has a thing where you can look it up.
It was like 3 players coming back. Was that Chris Mim?
Yeah, Chris Mim was definitely in a trade at one point.
That had to be the Chris Mim trade.
So there was, all right, so this was it. It was Rick Fox and Gary Payton and a first-round pick to the Celtics for Chucky Atkins, Jermaine Jones, and Chris Mim.
Chucky Atkins, that's right.
Chucky Atkins. Then in 1999, Tony Battie went to the Celtics in exchange for Travis Knight. And
man,
then,
what is with the Lakers and the Celtics trading white centers?
Yeah, that's it, man. And then in 1977, the Lakers traded Don Chaney and Kermit Washington and a 1978 first-round pick that turned into Freeman Williams for Charlie Scott to the Lakers.
So. All right.
So there it is.
Right. That's interesting. There you go. Yeah. So yes, the two sides have traded before. Yep. It just hasn't happened since in the last 20 years or so.
20, almost 21 years. I guess that was August, so that was a summertime trade. And Rick Fox, I remember getting all fired up because I was like, "Oh, the Celtics got Rick Fox back," but
he didn't. And then he retired.
For them, he retired. But that was part of the deal. They knew that when they got him. So,
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, there you go. There's a history. I mean, will we ever see another one? Sure. It feels about time.
Some point.
Yeah. Every 20-ish years. So yeah, probably.
All right, let's go McCollum and Tice to Detroit for Duren and Tim Hardaway Jr.
I would not do that from the Pistons side. I don't think that makes you any better.
Yeah, and nor does the CJ McCollum necessarily fit the timeline. Now, I know the Pistons could use a guard. I mean, with Jaden Ivey going down, maybe CJ McCollum's a fit there in that regard. But I mean, do you actually get that much better? Like Jalen Duren is a monster on the glass. I know he's not a perfect player at all, but yeah, I wouldn't be making. I think you're limiting your upside. I think it's more of a short-term window here if you do this with Detroit. And I know they want to make a push. There's a story out today about how they're not going to use their cap space to absorb salaries or whatever, or just be a dumping ground for contracts. I think they do have a really good shot at making the play-in this year, which is great. That's definitely a step forward for the Pistons. But I think they need to still continue to keep their eye on the long-term future. And so I'm keeping the long-term side of this, and that's the Jalen Duren side.
Yeah, I Pistons. So Kyle's a Pistons guy. I know Kyle. Kyle's also a cap nerd like us. So he gets this stuff. Pistons fans are very frustrated with Jalen Duren. Like they've just kind of had it with him. But to Daniel Tice is a massive downgrade.
Yes.
Like to Titan, I love Daniel Tice, but he just doesn't have it anymore. He just, he isn't very good. And then I don't know that Tim Hardaway Jr. has actually played pretty well for the Pistons. Is all that big of a downgrade from CJ McCollum? I realized McCollum threw up a 50 ball in the last week or so, and he's a good player, but I just did this would be too much to go this way. And I'd rather do there's a couple other should Detroit get Bradley Beal? Should Detroit get Zach LaVine? I'd rather go those directions than do something like this where, you're paying a little more. But this one's just a little too leans towards New Orleans for me. If I would do this in a heartbeat if I was New Orleans. Very close.
Absolutely would. Cyrex, Ben Simmons involved in a 3-team trade with Butler and Beal. Does that make any sense? I mean, I guess the question becomes, why do the Nets want Bradley Beal? That's what I'm assuming this would look like. And if I'm the Nets, I don't.
Yeah, I don't want Bradley Beal if I'm the Nets. No. Yeah. No reason, right? Like that's all your cap space basically for Bradley Beal at this point. And I'd rather just let Ben Simmons expire off my roster at that point.
Senpai asks, what are the third teams with cap space? So who could come into a trade and be a salary absorbing team in, let's say, a trade between two first-tier apron or up teams?
It is the Detroit Pistons, and that is it.
That's all.
We are no longer in a world. So what they did in the new CBA, everybody knows about pushing teams down, right? And making it harder and harder to build out your roster and just keep throwing money at it. They also push teams up. They made teams spend money in the new CBA. So you can't sit on $40 or $50 million in cap space anymore if you're not at the salary floor. And this was the whole thing with the Paul Reed waiver, sign Javante McCoy, waive him, re-sign Paul Reed, and all that stuff. But the Pistons are the only team. They've got $14 million in cap space, so they're kind of everybody's third team in on all these deals. One thing that is a little different is if you've got a team that's got their $12.8 million non-taxpayer mid-level and they don't have hard cap issues, they could also jump into a trade to get that. So Jason M just asked that. I'm not going to run through the full list of MLE teams. Best place I think to find that very easily, you can find that right on Spot Track. We have an exceptions tracker page. Just navigate to the NBA and then you'll find it. And you can find it there, which teams still have their full exception left.
All right. Which the whole thing about now, you have to be at a certain, you can't have 40 million in cap space. If you're remember back in the day, if you were a player, and it wasn't that long ago, if you were a player on one of those teams that had cap space, you're just watching and praying your team doesn't do anything with it. Cause then because they have to get up to that salary floor. It used to be they had to get up to the salary floor anyway. So you would just get a bonus because that money would be divided up amongst everybody on the team. If they're 20 million under the floor, then that 20 million gets divided up between everybody on the team and they just get that extra little bonus. But those days are gone now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think people would really wish it was still that way. There. Hey, I'm going to pull a Celtics one real quick here. Jaden Springer to the Pelicans for Javonte Green. That doesn't help the Pelicans with their tax issues. Because Jaden Springer makes like $4 million and Javonte Green's on a $2 million minimum deal. So that's probably not going to be a thing there. So yeah, I don't think we'll see that be the way it goes. Javonte Green may be on the move. That may happen. But with that, I don't think it'd be for Jaden Springer.
Right. All right. Drew said, what do you guys say to Rui, Gabe, 1 or 2 second rounders for Colin Sexton? How do you value Colin Sexton versus Rui Hachimura?
I think Sexton's probably the better player. I think for the Lakers, he would fit quite a bit because you would presumably just pick a wing into the starting group and or slide everybody back up a position.
Sure.
And go that way with that. You can do that as well. But yeah, I think that's too much money for the Jazz to take on. I don't think they would want to take on that kind of money. It's not about this year, obviously, but it's about the next season. I don't think they want that kind of money on the books.
Yeah, with Rui and Gabe
is not going to do it.
Yeah, I don't recall what's Colin Sexton at 18 million, I think, off the top of my head, and Rui's at 17, Gabe is at 11. So that's a lot of money that you're eating if you're the Jazz. Now, but Keith, what if we call it Rui Jalen Hood Shafino? $4 million for JHS or any like minimum guy.
Yeah, that gets a little closer. If I'm the Jazz, I'm going to push for a first.
Sure.
Because if I'm the Jazz too, I'm looking at it and saying, hey, Colin Sexton kind of fits in our 3-guard rotation with Keontae George and Isaiah Collier. We don't have to move him. We're not in a spot where we have to do that and wait and see. Maybe something better comes up in the summertime. Again, for the Jazz, it's not like Colin Sexton is pushing. They're winning too many games with him on the roster. They're doing just fine losing games with him. So you might as well hold out and see if you can get a really, really good deal.
All right, let's go. Oh, Artie said, love y'all show. One of my faves. Well, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate you being here. Any chance the Pels just run it back? They've got such a talented roster. I think with the core, sure. I mean, Zion, it seems like that trade is probably not going to happen. A trade with him anyway. Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, these guys, Jordan Hawkins, Yves Missi, these guys are going to be kind of the backbone of the team moving forward. But the peripheral pieces, what I'm talking about, like significant players, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, those are the guys that I'm trying to move on from, and then just kind of retool the roster moving forward instead of, just tear the whole thing down or something like that. I think that's what the Pels are mostly going to be looking to do here.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. I think I've been saying it, the rest of the season, your goal is I want as many games as I can get with Zion, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, DeJounte Murray, Yves Missi, and Jordan Hawkins together, that group of 6. Because I think that's the group of 6 you go into next year with as kind of your core group. McCollum may still be there. Ingram probably won't be. But you just kind of go into that with those guys and see what it looks like with this. We're about to have complete chaos. My wife just made popcorn, and the dogs are going to go nuts. They love popcorn. So,
boy.
All of a sudden, it sounds like we're hosting dog fights. That's what's happening here.
It's just popcorn time at the Smith house.
That's it, man.
All right, let's see where we want to go.
I got to do it. I got to do this one, Trevor.
Okay.
From Senpai. Oh, so let's go. He's playing really well. He, gave him really good minutes last night by Mason Plumlee. Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Decision. Yeah, I mean, again, we referenced it in yesterday's show because he said, "Hey, I'm not going to cause any problems." I don't know that I'm not going to cause any problems if I don't play at all.
Right.
Like that might be a spot where he's not going to be too happy about that. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. But yeah, I think Oso's playing really well, man. I'm excited for that one.
Now, Keith, the internet sleuths are always looking at stuff like this and going, "Oh, I bet he's being traded, and that's why they didn't put him in the game."
Yep.
Do you buy any of that stuff? I mean, Nurkic, you've got $18 million this season, 19.4 million this season. Could something be afoot here?
I mean, maybe. I think the Suns would love to move him. Again, remember though, because I keep getting people sending me trades where it's, hey, let's put Nurkic and Grayson Allen and go get somebody who makes $30 million. Like they can't aggregate salaries together, and we talked about this a little bit where like Milwaukee has paths to getting under the hard cap and being able to do some stuff. The Suns do not. They are $30 million over the second apron. So you're not getting under, in any kind of reasonable type of move that you make. So that's where it becomes a challenge for the Phoenix Suns is if Nurkic goes, he's got to go in a deal by himself. And I don't know what you're doing with that. It's going to have to be him in the first round pick that they can offer in 2031. And that would be the best that they could probably do.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's go. Let's go here. Thoughts on the way Miami treats their stars. So there's kind of two sides to this, right? There's people who are on the Jimmy Butler side of things, thinking the Miami Heat have done Jimmy Butler wrong. They should take care of him as he gets further into his career here. They should be giving him an extension. Then there's the other side that say, no. That Jimmy is doing the Miami Heat wrong by acting the way that he has, and he needs to just honor the contract that he's got. And if they're not willing to go full max or whatever, he needs to understand that's just the realities of the market. Like where do you fall in that whole thing? And then we've seen teams who have paid, I mean, notably my Lakers, who gave Kobe Bryant a huge contract coming off of a torn Achilles, didn't try to hold that against him or anything and said, "Hey, because of everything you've done for this organization, we're going to give you this contract despite you coming off this injury." Now, Jimmy Butler is not Kobe Bryant, but a different tactic. The Miami Heat more willing to play hardball with Jimmy Butler than say, "Hey, you've gotten us to 2 finals. You've meant a lot for this franchise. Here's this contract moving forward." What do you think strategically about the way Miami has handled the situation?
Yeah, so overarching, I have a issue, and this has been probably one of my bigger changes, I think, just as I've gotten older and then been around players more. I used to be a big, "Hey, you signed the deal, you need to honor it."
Right.
And then I kind of really came to realize, like, why is it okay that a team can just be like, "Nah, we don't want you anymore," and just trade you? Right. And I say this fully recognizing these guys make millions to hundreds of millions of dollars, and I'm not feeling too bad for them. But it's just a little weird that we've all collectively as sports fans been like, well, if a team trades a guy, it's fine. But if a player doesn't like his situation and asks for something different, we need to vilify him. So that's just, my kind of overarching thought on this. With the Miami piece of it, I just think everything's now gone south and it's gone too far. And I think both sides are not, doing each other any favors here. Butler doesn't look great. Neither do the Heat. Like it starts to become really ugly. I mean, the Heat didn't look good in the summertime when Pat Riley could have just ignored Jimmy Butler saying, "Hey, we would have beat Boston if I had played." But he chose to use that platform as his place to make his statement of, "Well, hey, you don't play, so I don't want to hear it from you."
Yeah.
Like that's, why? What did you gain out of that? All you did was make him mad. Like you could have just ignored it and moved on. And then that's, where it's tough. So I don't think Jimmy Butler really owes the Heat a whole lot beyond, if you are there and on a contract, you should play. Like you shouldn't go out there and actively not play. Like that's not okay.
Like be on the floor and not try.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't just be out there getting cardio. But I think it's the Heat also, like, all right, figure it out. I don't think Miami treats their stars all that bad. I think they've done fine with those guys, and they're always willing to pay guys. So that's all that really matters in the end. As long as they're still willing to hand out max deals, players aren't really going to care all that much.
Well, and this is where too, like player first fandom and team first fandom can kind of butt heads on situations like these because you're going to be more sympathetic to the team if you're a fan of the Miami Heat or if you're a fan of the Celtics or of the Lakers or of the Magic or whatever team you want to pick, right? You're going to be more sympathetic towards the team in that situation than the player. Whereas if you're a Jimmy Butler fan, you are incensed at what is going on here, and you are so mad at Miami and how dare they do all of these things. So that's where I think we do get a divide in the conversation as well. But I also think that with the new CBA, it is increasingly more difficult to give a player the kind of lifetime achievement contract. And I'm not saying that Jimmy is washed or anything like that, and he's just done and all of that, but it's more difficult to give a player a contract that, let's say Jimmy Butler let's say he was to get, I don't know, close to $60 million a year for 2 years, that rumored deal from the Suns, whatever that is. There's a decent chance that in the final year of that deal, he's overpaid, or even in the first year of that deal, he's overpaid relative to his production on the court, especially at 35 years old, misses 20 plus games every single year. And if you are an NBA team, if you're the Miami Heat or anybody else, it is increasingly punitive to have somebody on your team that is not living up to their contract, that is not producing at their contract level. And so I think that's a factor in all of this too. Like teams are recognizing, hey, we kind of do have to squeeze players a little bit more, and we have to make sure that every dollar counts with the way that the rules are set up now.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we're in a spot where it is just very different now for the way all this stuff comes together. You can't just, well, we'll buy our way out of it. We'll make a trade. We'll do this. Those days are gone. Those days are gone with the way we have made this new CBA and the way we work under that. So those are going to be the challenges, right? Those are going to be the things that people are going to have to work their way through. And you're absolutely right. I mean, you're not going to see teams all of a sudden be like, well, no more max contracts. I'm not doing that. Like, that's not going to be a thing. But I think what we will see is we will see teams be, especially with older players who have had issues. I think we will see a little bit of a change there where we might see some teams say, all right, let's settle down a little bit on what we're willing to do with this. Cause you can't just get out of it so easily.
And that's why Brandon Ingram doesn't have a new contract right now. Right? Like that's part of it. Like you can't give that kind of max money to guys that aren't going to produce at that level. So that's why Brandon Ingram may be leaving the Pelicans. That's why, it's why Jimmy Butler's staying. It's why Zach LaVine probably hasn't been traded at this point. So it's just, you put these guys in this kind of weird middle ground under the new CBA. So I don't know. I understand the Miami Heat side of it. There's like an emotional side to it too with the Jimmy Butler piece where it's like, but he did so much. He got them to 2 final. Like, shouldn't you commit to Jimmy being part of your team for at least a few more years? But I don't know. Like I said, I kind of see myself in the middle of this, and I can understand why both sides are sitting where they currently. If you're Jimmy Butler, you're thinking, I got to get this new contract now. This may be my last shot. I have to get this because it's not going to get any easier next year when he's 36. So if it's Phoenix that's going to pay him, I better get to Phoenix because it could be a difference of what, $80-100 million, something like that for Jimmy Butler overall in the next contract if he's not able to find somebody to pay him.
Yeah, we're full on. Yeah, he wants Phoenix because Phoenix has said we'll pay you. I mean or at least he believes that. I don't know if I shouldn't have said it that way. I don't know that Phoenix has said that. But there's enough reporting that we know Phoenix is willing to pay him. So we'll see.
All right. Scorpio Sky, just want to give you a shout out, man. Sky, hit me up, man. We got to get you back on Lakers Nation in a bit. I don't even know what you're agreeing to, man, but it's been too long since we've been able to hang out there. So hit me up, and hope you're doing well there in Southern California, man. Let's go here. GM Mercado said, has there been any traction on the NBPA filing a grievance re Jimmy Butler suspension? I thought I heard some news about it. It takes a while to go through the process. And remember, the only thing that's going to happen is Jimmy's going to get money back. You can't undo the games missed. He'll just get paid for the games he missed rather than lose salary.
Yep. That's exactly it. Yeah. There's not going to be a, chance this is heard before the end of his suspension, which we covered that'll be next week. I think it's after the Lakers game. I think that's the last one of the Heat's current West Coast road trip. And when that happens, then maybe by then we'll have something. But there's also a chance if he gets traded, then maybe everybody just drops it and everybody moves on. I don't know that will happen for certain, but yeah, these things take a while because you have to file the grievance. You got to put your case together. They have to agree to an independent arbiter to hear it, and then you kind of go from there with that. So we'll see.
LeBron stance and most likely next Lakers trade. Well, we did get some news this morning. Jared Vanderbilt was assigned by the Lakers to the South Bay Lakers. That's because they are practicing. I think they're even practicing right now. And that he'll get more work in with them because the Lakers are going to do a light practice after that. So that I think they're going to wait. They're going to see if Jared Vanderbilt is back, if he's healthy, if they're able to put him in a game in the next week or so. And then they'll go from there and they'll make a determination on what is it that they really need to prioritize, whether it's a big, a guard, a wing, whatever. So I do think if and when the Lakers make another trade, we're probably a week plus out. It could be closer to the trade deadline. I heard from within the Lakers that they want to wait and see what the team looks like once they get some of these guys back and they fully get Dorian Finney-Smith integrated as well. So I think if the right deal fell in their laps right now, they would pull the trigger. But sure. I think currently they're kind of taking a breath. They want to see how all the pieces fit together with some guys maybe coming back. We'll see on Christian Wood. No word on him right now. And then of course Jared Vanderbilt. If fingers crossed, hopefully he's actually coming back here. We'll see how practice goes today. And the integration of Dorian Finney-Smith. I think those things have to kind of settle, and then they'll look to make their next moves or whatever.
Yeah, I think the big thing for the Lakers is, to your point, little patience now. You made a trade. You're getting some guys back. We're going to see what it looks like in a couple weeks. Yeah, I had a radio station ask me just this morning, why has Jalen Hood-Schifino not been traded yet? And because there's no reason to trade him now. You can hang on to him and then put his salary into another trade later. And that's the biggest reason. The Lakers want to keep that salary kind of there if they need it. If you hit a point where it's like, man, we could have made trade for player X, but we needed $4 million more, and we traded Hood-Schifino too early. Like that's just awful, right? Yeah. So you hang on to it. I kind of think he gets moved before we get to the trade deadline. If for no other reason, then get him out of here. Let some other team take him on. He's done with the Lakers. He's not going to be a Laker past this season anyway. So that's often that we see those guys get moved on from. Get him to a team where maybe he can play, and that team can take a look at him for the rest of the season and see what they want to do. But yeah, I think right now, no real reason to move him. Just a little bit of patience. Everybody loves trades. I get it. We do too. Mm-hmm. But we've had 3 already.
Which is more than normal.
Yeah, exactly. There will be more, but we're a month out. We're probably at least, again, outside of a Jimmy Butler trade, which I think could happen at any point, we're probably a couple weeks out from another trade.
Nick says, thoughts on the Pistons considering not renting out their cap space? Is that a mistake with how valuable it is right now, given that they are the only team really out there with cap space? I mean, the value of it really depends on which teams are out there looking to use it. Right, that's what's going to determine value. But for the Pistons too, like remember they haven't made the postseason in a while. I mean, this is an opportunity to do that. So I think they can use they don't have to be just a dumping ground. They can use their cap space in another way to help facilitate a trade. I don't think we should look at it as, well, if they don't use it as a dumping ground, then it's just going for naught. No, I think there's moves that they may look to make to actually improve the roster and then go from there.
Yeah, and that's what the reporting was. I think that was Brian Windhorst in the Friday weekly notebook piece he does with Tim Bontemps, which is really good. There's often really good details in there if you read through that each week. He said the Pistons are more now thinking, hey man, we'll go get somebody for ourselves. It's my favorite because it's a quirky stat. It's not my favorite because of the stat. Mm-hmm. The Pistons' last playoff win of a game, not a series, a single playoff game, was in 2008 in the Eastern Conference Finals. That is the last time they won even as much as a playoff game, never mind an entire series. So that gives you a sense of it's been a long time coming for the Pistons, and they're right there now. I mean, they're playing as good as any of those other teams in that mix from say 6 to like 10 in the East. So why not the Pistons? I think there's a real chance that they do make the play-in tournament at least, and maybe even all the way to the playoffs, and that'd be huge for them. And if they can go get somebody to help with that, I have no problem if they make that move. They can't make an all-in move. Like, don't start trading first-round picks in their cap space and Jaden Ivey and Thompson and like, that's too much. You're not that good yet, but if you can go make a move to get a guy who can help lift you, especially in the wake of Ivy being out, no issue with that.
Hey, Detroit fans coming up, right? I mean, you got the Lions right now in the playoffs. I mean, looking great. You got the Pistons maybe back at least in the play-in.
Tigers look good again. Like,
that's
they should
right.
have another strong season. So yeah, good times in Detroit sports.
There we go. Jonathan said, "Who do you guys think is in the lead for Defensive Player of the Year?" I think it's still got to be Wemby, right?
I don't know. I think it might be Jaren Jackson Jr.
You think he's slipping?
I don't think Wemby's slipping as much as Jackson Jr. is playing incredible, and he is in a place where his team's just better, and the team's defense is better too, and that's going to win some people over. I'm not going to be surprised at all if it's Wembanyama, and I think, but I think Jaren Jackson Jr. should get some love too.
Let's see. I want to see if I can pull where the odds are currently on that. Defensive Player of the Year, Victor Wembanyama is a -350. Jaren Jackson Jr. is +1,000, tied with Evan Mobley for the second highest odds.
Not bad bet if you wanted to make it, and that's the extent of the gambling advice I'll probably ever get.
Yeah, right. Evan Mobley, Jaren Jackson Jr. Man, Keith, I got to tell you, he may be having a good defensive season. It would feel kind of gross for Jaren Jackson Jr. to have 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards.
Really?
Absolutely. I thought he was undeserving that first year. He won.
I don't know, man. I like Jaren Jackson Jr.
Oh, I like Jaren Jackson Jr. overall. And part of that is the Anthony Davis bias coming in. I'm like, how the hell would Jaren Jackson Jr. have 2 depoys and Anthony Davis not even have none? That's that side of me coming out there.
Yeah, the league is littered with those like situations where it's like, really, like player X only won one MVP, when it's like for ever they were the best player. Like, Tim Duncan didn't win that very many Defensive Player of the Year awards, and he was incredible. There's probably most periods where he was the best defensive player. But yeah, I really like Jaren Jackson Jr. I'm a big fan of his. I like that Memphis team quite a bit. So yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Ollie said hype level for Captain America 4 next month.
Through the roof. It's been too long. Like, we haven't had a Marvel movie since Deadpool and Wolverine last summer.
We haven't.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's been a bit. I was looking for Marvel movies to throw on last night as I was doing a little bit of editing, and I'm like, man, there's just nothing I really feel like throwing on there right now. I tried the first few episodes of this season's What If, and I was just kind of like,
I'm not thinking of What If.
It's all right. Like, I like the first season was good, but this one, I don't know. I'm a few episodes in. I'll probably finish it. But Captain America 4, I'm worried. I don't like all the like the early test screenings and stuff were so bad, and
they did a lot of rewrites,
and reshoots and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, okay, but I hope they figured out a way to put all the puzzle pieces together and make it work. It worried me when they revealed Red Hulk as early as they did. I'm like, right, because did they feel like they needed to reveal a big surprise early to get the hype up for the movie? Like, instead of that being like, remember how they tried to keep Hulk being in Thor Ragnarok such a secret, and like it was going to be this big surprise for moviegoers and everything. Now they're like putting Red Hulk out there front and center. Is that like trying to add drawing power to the movie? Is that, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic. Let's say that they found a way to fix it, but the reporting around it has not been positive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I am worried, but I'm excited. Like, I mean, at this point, everybody knows I'm in the bag for all this stuff.
Oh, so sure. Really I'll watch it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch. I'll be there probably opening day, and watching, and I'll have a lot of fun. But yeah, we'll see.
I'm curious to see what they do with Captain America, Falcon, Sam Wilson.
Well, now Chris Evans is coming back, but we don't know. I know people keep saying he's going to be Nomad. He's going to be Nomad, but we don't know that.
Right.
No one has said that for sure. So yeah, we'll I liked the Captain America Winter Soldier show quite a bit. I thought it was really fun, but we'll see.
We could have a much longer conversation about Captain America, the Captain America or Falcon and the Winter Soldier show, but cautiously optimistic, I think is where I land on that, and hopefully it ends up being a good one.
We'll do this just to wrap up the Marvel conversation. Yeah. Marvel needs to let in new actors, but every time they do, people get mad because people are like, we want the characters we love. So that's been part of their issue. I think they need to find the right new actors, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's the case. They need to find the right people coming in, the right characters to really highlight and go from there. And you know what I mean? Like, they've also had success though, highlighting some characters that maybe weren't. Sure. I mean, like Guardians of the Galaxy weren't as well known, certainly as Captain America or anything, and that was a huge success. So,
I mean, even if you go back and read, like, I still have not finished it, and that's like on my goal probably for the All-Star break, is the MCU book that Joanna Robinson and others wrote. Mm-hmm. It was they touched on, like, people thought it was nuts when they were like, hey, we're going to build this entire thing around Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, because it was like nobody really cared. Everybody cared about Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and that was it. And it was like, you're really going to try this? You're going to try Incredible Hulk again? Like, right. Nobody really liked that character to begin with, and they did a really good job with that. So I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do a few more. We may save some for our next show here.
Yeah, I've starred quite a few. But we can use it through.
Let's go with. I'm just scrolling through here. We just found the Defensive Player of the Year one. Oh, would I do Rui for Nurkic if it's there? Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. I know the Lakers need a big and everything, but I think there's better avenues that you could take to go find somebody.
I'd rather go for a lesser big man.
Yes.
That can be a backup than pay this price to now you removed a starter, which means Nurkic has to start. And again, I harp on this and people get mad when I say it, but you're Anthony Davis is not a 4, LeBron is not a 3. So bringing in a starting 5, I just don't think that's a great idea if I'm the Lakers.
All right. Can Bradley Beal get paid to waive his no trade clause?
Nope. Bradley Beal's already on a max contract, so
could you imagine?
And even if he could, you can't do that anyway.
Wouldn't that be a hell of a wrinkle? Like Matt Ishbia gives Bradley Beal $50 million, an extra $50 million to waive his no trade so they can move him.
It'd be amazing,
right?
Like, I mean, that can happen in baseball. Like things happen like that. Like you amend, but you can't do that in the NBA.
Yeah, right. Not the way it works. Smokey, Keith, if Kevin Garnett played it today in his prime, is he better than Jokic?
No, I mean, and that kills me because I love KG.
Sure.
And I loved KG before he was a Celtic. He was probably my favorite player in the league there. But yeah, I mean, Jokic he's on an all-time like hot run of years right now. Like Jokic is trending towards retiring as a top 10 player all time. Like, I know people don't necessarily love that because people are like, really? Like, but just when you look at what he's done, like he has been absolutely incredible over the last 4 seasons. And he was good before that, and he'll probably continue to be good beyond. So yeah, as much as I love KG, no, it's just not going to be there with Jokic.
I think there's part of it with Jokic, like because of the. Like when we look at superstar, you look at Jordan, who can just jump out of the building, right? You look at LeBron, who is a damn freight train out there. Jokic is not that. He's a massive human being. There's no question. But in terms of being that next level athlete, he's not that. He gets by on skill quite a bit, skill and his size and strength. And so people look at him and think, oh, is he really that good? Is this really, because you're used to, for a guy that is going to dominate the way that he dominates, a guy that's going to get that kind of recognition of, oh my God, he could be top 10 all time, or he could be top 20 all time, or wherever it is, doesn't matter, wherever you want to put him in that. We think of a guy that is just physically so much more gifted than everybody around them. And they have these highlight reel plays that you just go, oh my gosh, that guy is the only person who could have ever pulled that off, right? And that's not the case with Jokic. You don't see that kind of just insane acts of athleticism out of Jokic. Instead, it's a very different style of game. And so I think there is still that like disbelief that he's really this good, but he actually is. It's just the way that it goes. He's that talented.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to pull a couple related to this topic. Underground Scoop TV says people act like Jokic is the first player to do what he's doing. Ever heard of Arvydas Sabonis? So I've told this story before. My family is Lithuanian. They came from Lithuania. So huge Sabonis, like loved him from the moment I heard about him, and then watched him destroy David Robinson when the Soviet Union made a tour and played against the Americans back when it was still college players. And at that point, I was like, you'd never seen anything like Sabonis at his size, dribbling and handling the ball. The problem was at the NBA level, it was all theoretical, because by the time we saw Sabonis in the NBA, he was already had multiple leg injuries to both legs. He was completely broken down and wasn't anywhere near the same player. So he was never at that level of what Jokic is doing. It's, maybe it is for all the reasons you said. I think there's some of Jokic isn't an American guy, and I realize in this comp that doesn't work, but people try to tear this guy down all the time, and it's like, he's unbelievable. And I love Sabonis, loved everything he did. We actually, when I was younger, it's a stupid story, I won't tell. I was just going to say we went on a trip to try to find relatives in Lithuania. I don't even know if we really did, because nobody spoke Lithuanian in our family. Yeah. And my uncle swears that it was cousins of ours, and I don't think they were. But whatever, that's a whole other thing. But like, just, yeah, it's a whole, like part of that trip was to try to go find Sabonis working out in a gym, and we actually pulled it off. Then, and that was, but he was still old and broken down at that point. But just, yeah, I love Arvydas Sabonis, but Jokic is, world's different, because we never saw that happen with Sabonis in the NBA.
Unfortunately, we never got the chance to. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
All right, everybody. Well,
I had one more. I want to pull.
Okay,
sorry, I want to pull one more, because it was a like trade related. Here it is. This one. See here, the dogs are fighting over the popcorn. They get mad because it's all gone and they want more. If an NBA team with a full roster acquires additional players in a trade, is the team allowed to waive the incoming players instead of existing players to stay within roster limits? This is a great question. This comes up every year around the trade deadline. The answer is no. You have to fit the new players into your roster. You cannot. You can waive them after you've done that. That happens very regularly, but you cannot say, geez, I really want to keep players X, Y, and Z, so we'll waive players A, B, and C that come in the trade. You're not allowed to do that. So that gets you have to complete the trade and then make a move with after the fact, after you get those guys. And every once in a while, we'll see team will waive a player clears waivers, and then they'll re-sign him because they didn't want to lose that player to begin with. So, So every once in a while, it plays out that way.
Right. All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming in. Appreciate all of you for being here. I've saved the questions we didn't get to. We'll put them on a show next week. But I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. And again, if you are in the LA area, of course, stay safe. And those of you that are not, and you want to contribute, or if you are and you want to contribute, we again put the number up for the Red Cross right now. Hopefully everybody is please do stay safe out there, everybody, and I hope we get some good news here over the weekend on the status of these fires.
Yeah, without a doubt. All love to everybody in the Southern California, Los Angeles area. Stay strong. If you're listening and hearing this or watching, just glad you're safe and you're with us here and you're able to watch and hang out. Hopefully gave you a little bit of joy for an hour here on a Friday, and we'll be back. And if you're new to the show, we'll go live if there's a reason to this weekend. If the NBA gives us a reason, we'll hop on and break down a trade. I don't know. Let's see. kind of have a feeling we might be working this weekend.
Uh-oh.
Just a feeling, not reporting anything, just a gut feeling. I feel like we're a little less than a month out from the deadline. We might have to work. So we'll see.
All right. I'm here for it. Let's go. Let's go. Exciting stuff. All right, everybody. Thank you again. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Till next time. See you and stay safe.